was mad. Hello, welcome to Sounding Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I am reviewing the fourth book in my Indie April readathon, which is Homeworld by Philip Ginn, or Ginn, I'm not sure. This is a sci-fi, I'd call it a new adult sci-fi, coming out in May 2022. You can pre-order it now. It's an indie published book, obviously. So the author reached out to me on my website and asked if I'd review a physical copy. I love free books, so I said yes. Also, he looked at my long list of stipulations and his book applied to that, so that was great. First of all, I want to talk about the cover. The cover is really pretty. I'm sorry that the lighting is absolutely terrible in here because I've got new windows and we don't have blinds on them yet, but you can see it's got a really cool like star system and stuff, and yeah, anyway, you can check out the cover on Goodreads or Amazon or whatever. So Homeworld is a great book for a new reader to sci-fi, for environmentalists, or for young readers like late teens who want to get into sci-fi but aren't sure where to start. Even if new adult isn't really your jam, this book has a great deal going for it. So what is it about? Okay, this is a bit long. So Abigail, a modern-day 19-year-old who has struggled her entire life to fit in, undergoes a genetic transformation to treat her illness and becomes super enhanced. After the change, she gains unusual abilities that lead her to become the key to saving Earth's future and a link to humanity's ancient past. Ironically, her alteration makes it harder to fit in, but she does make a few new friends, including a mysterious alien broadcaster who is sending viral information to get humans into space on a new advanced ship. Abigail makes history by piloting the first space mission to go further than any previous space mission has gone before, to Mars. Now, there's a lot more, but I'm actually not going to read the rest of it, because actually I'm going to skip the middle part and I'm going to read just the last part. See Earth through the eyes of ancient colonists who, despite deadly challenges, are determined to build a civilization to an exotic foreign landscape where life is incredibly diverse and abundant, sky waterfalls, and oceans are filled with magnificent, intelligent creatures. Will they repeat the mistakes they made on their homeworld that led to its destruction, or will they find their place in the rich and balanced ecology of a new world? So this book is interesting because it's a book that for a slightly younger crowd, but also feels a bit like a classic sci-fi, which really appealed to me. I think it's because of the scope of the book. The book brings in a lot of sci-fi tropes on top of environmentalism. In truth, I'd almost hazard to call it a cli-fi because that's the biggest theme of the book. It's basically about how we're destroying our planet and how other aliens have destroyed their planet, and we should probably not do that. There's also superheroes, immigration, first contact, theory into what killed the dinosaurs, planet colonization, aliens, and friendship. It would be spoilers for me to get into any of these in great detail, and while this feels like a lot of tropes in one novel, it actually worked really well. All of these facets were interconnected in a way that really worked well together and served to complement one another rather than compete. I personally liked the environmentalism aspects and the obvious kind of shots towards political lobbyism, oil companies, and xenophobia. In terms of the science fiction stuff, I really enjoyed the aliens. Their culture and physiology were interesting and fun. When it came to the science aspects, it was a little bit far-fetched. Like, we have characters going to space with no astronaut training, for example. But again, this isn't a hard sci-fi, so I was fine with that. But I just wanted to point that out to other readers, that there are some liberties in terms of that kind of thing. But, I mean, it felt like a classic sci-fi in that regard as well, because you always have people just kind of like going off into space in the 1960s and in this kind of way. So I thought that was quaint and I really liked it. Now, while the characters are likable and engaging, this really isn't a character-driven story. There is so much more going on in terms of plot that while the characters aren't flat, Abigail's struggles to fit in are mentioned, but we don't really see a trajectory of her overcoming that in such as in like flashbacks, things like that. As such, it's not really a coming-of-age story that I was kind of expecting, but the rest of the narrative is very compelling, so I didn't really need that. In truth, seeing her suffer through high school might have been a bit boring, and that's kind of the stuff I don't like about, like, YA anyway, so I was fine with that. I do think a lot of younger people will identify with Abigail and Gavin, though. Perhaps their less than robust backstory will allow readers to place themselves in their positions in a sort of vicarious experience rather than, befriending the characters. They could more likely envision themselves in that position, so that might work well for certain readers. Overall, it's definitely a fun and engaging sci-fi about a young woman with extraordinary powers who uses these powers to try and save our planet and others in need. It's a book I will be saving for my daughters to read when they are older. They're a bit too young now, given they are under 5, but maybe in 10 years. Thank you again to the author for the physical copy. I really like it. I'm sorry it's all beat up, but my toddler got a hold of it and she drew in one page. Oh, I was mad. Anyway, don't expect to have nice things if you have children. That's the moral of this video. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've got 2 more indie author readathon books coming out next week, and then we're going into May, and I'm going to be having a video about that because I'm doing another read along in May, and it's an exciting one. So thank you.